After spending the entire week searching for details in Demon Slayer Season 4, here are 30 hidden details you probably didn't notice. Without further ado, let's get into it. Detail number 1. The animation of Nakimi's blood demon art is insanely good, but the hidden detail is even more insane. In that particular scene, we can see countless eyeballs stalking in the dark area near the Demon Slayer's residence. Actually, the amount of eyeballs are the same amount as her hair strains on the wood that spread its roots, like a tree branch. Before we have a GPS tracking app, Nakimi would be the scientist to invent it within her blood demon art, which later on the eyeball would send a red dot as a signal if they're located any demon slayers. Detail number 2. Welcome back, the King of Pop. Michael Jackson, known as Muzan Kibutsuji, for moonwalking into Kagaya's house, like he was about to perform a special live concert for him with the smoke effect and everything. But, on a serious note though, if you'd notice the white smoke appearing in the air while Muzan is passing by, that's actually a wisteria flower barrier. Since Kayaga's residence has no guards at all, they must have created a wisteria barrier to prevent demons. Detail number 3. The detail I'm about to tell you is so visible, but you probably didn't catch it. But if you noticed it, you deserve a signature from Muzan himself. You see, in the scene where the ball was falling to the ground, it cuts to a scene of so many balls lying surrounded Kagaya Amani and Muzan. All those balls actually indicate the amount of bombs hidden underneath the mansion. Detail number 4. Notice the peak animation of Muzan's regeneration might seem like it takes time, but actually, if you look closely at the background, it's not moving at all. So in the real timeline, he actually regenerates instantly so quickly that they have to slow it down to show us a glimpse of Muzan turning into a colossal titan for a moment. Detail number 5. After the insane explosion, you'd notice the little black thorn-looking gadget stuck onto Muzan. The reason why the word flesh seeds makes so much sense is because the moment after Muzan was blown away, you'd catch sight of those little thorns attach themselves to Muzan's body onto his flesh. The theory here is that the more powerful demons it's attached to, the stronger impact it will have. And since it is Muzan's flesh, we can see it travel through his body, locking him up tightly. Detail number 6. At the start of the series, we see Obanai Sanemi and 2 fellow demon slayers were hunting down a demon near a mountainside. Notice how the 2 demon slayers have scarf wrapped around their neck tightly due to the freezing temperature. In contrast, the 2 Hashiras didn't bother to put on any scarf because they are able to increase their inner body temperature by using total concentration breathing. Detail number 7. Hidden details are everywhere, not only in the episode, but in the outro as well. If you watch the outro, you would see a scene of Muzan stepping on blood drops. If we count them, there are 5 drops, but 4 drops are completely smeared except for 1 drop that is slightly smudged. This mostly represents the deceased Kamada family line, except for 1 drop, which is Nezuko, which is now a demon. Detail number 8. When Kagaya was describing the legendary myth of the tiger and dragon, after watching it in slow motion, I found a cool detail in this scene. You see, after it cuts to Tanjiro and Nezuko, notice how it was snowing unlike the run-through of Hashira's. It foreshadows to how Muzan turned Nezuko into a demon back in Season 1. The fact that the whole thing started on a snowy day, and now it ends on a snowy day, is insane. Detail number 9. There's a big spoiler warning ahead for this detail. If you don't want to be spoiled, you can skip to the next detail. You see, the cuts that show how each demon slayer falls into the Infinity Castle. If you slowed it down, you can see the different shades of red and yellow lighting. So for those who have the red lighting around them won't make it out alive. On the other hand, those with yellow lighting would be able to see the sun again. Detail number 10. The reason why young Sabito and Gyu looked stunned for a second here in this scene is because Sakonji Urokodaki never revealed his face before, but in this moment, he lifted his mask to eat the onigiri so the boys are surprised to see his face. Demons would mock Urokodaki for his gentle and calm face expression, is the reason why he is always seen wearing a Tengu mask that covers his entire face. Detail number 11. As we have known by now, the Ubuyashiki family line has a sense foresight which allows them to have good intuition predicting future, which is crucial in avoiding casualties that could have crumbled the Demon Slayer core. Not to mention, they have a gentle voice that could make people to feel at ease. That's why Kagaya's daughters were singing a song like Lullaby to ease the tension that was building up like rapid fire. The song was spine-chilling. I literally got goosebumps while watching. Detail number 12. Talking about the Blood Demon art. The Thorn Blood Demon's art we see keeping Muzan in place is actually the human he turned into a demon back in Season 1 in Asakusa when Tanjiro triggered his PTSD back then. Because it was Muzan who turned him into a demon so he can develop a blood demon art without consuming much flesh, just like Nezuko. Detail number 13. The scene where Genya told Tanjiro about his mark getting darker, even though no one else has noticed it, is because almost throughout the Hashira training arc, you'd notice that Tanjiro has continuously activated the mark on a daily basis. This basically shows how much Tanjiro has improved as a demon slayer to the point where he can meet the specific condition to awaken the mark easily. Detail number 14. During the training session with former Sound Hashira Tengen, you'd see Tengen putting up a 3-finger sign in the scene with Tanjiro, and even his posing style. Like, we get it that you get 3 wives, man. Thanks for the reminder. Detail number 15. Notice that when Zenitsu almost drowned himself during training, he hugged the rock, which reminded him of his mother's warmth. But in reality, Zenitsu doesn't even know his parents, or so it was never mentioned in the story before. Zenitsu was not raised by parents. Detail number 16. While Muzan and Kagaya were talking, we see Kagaya's daughter pick up the ball from the ground, but notice how she stood there for a mere second. In theory, this could be a detail indicating how she might be the signal to detonate the bombs, plus the angle from where she's standing. It is possible for hear the conversation, and just a moment after that, the explosion happens. Detail number 17. Do you remember this scene of Shinobu returning to the Butterfly Mansion drenched with anger? If you'd wonder why, that's because Kagaya informed her to work with Lady Tamayo, a demon, which drives her mad. Because Shinobu has always been against the idea of demons and humans coexisting with each other after her sister's death. Detail number 18. In this season, we finally get to see more Hashiras being animated, especially the strongest Hashira, Gyomei. If you pay more attention to him, you'd notice that he always cries over insignificant things all the time. However, here we can see Gyomei's not tearing up at all during serious or intense moments. But why is he still crying during the intense battle against Muzan? Because he's mourning Kagaya's death. This just shows how incredibly detailed the animation team put into each character. Detail number 19. Can you notice a bonus detail in this scene? Call back to the Entertainment District arc. It looks like Daki isn't the only one who also regenerates her clothes, because right here, Muzan also regenerates back his pants. Detail number 20. After Nakimi summons all Demon Slayers to Infinity Castle, you can see Kanao was helping a Slayer from falling down. This minor detail emphasizes the character development of Kanao, how she has improved over making decisions by herself until now. Imagine if she needed to do a coin flip, little bro would be gone by now. Detail number 21. Talking about the Infinity Castle. If you look closely at the scene before Muzan tells Tanjiro to catch him if you can, you'd see Giyu is fighting the law of physics here. How can he stay on the platform while it's tilting? Although this detail has no hidden meaning, but it's an interesting find. Detail number 22. After almost drowning for his dear life, we see Tanjiro only called out Zenitsu Inosuke and Murata names, which is kind of sus if you ask me. Back in episode 2, which highlight Giyu's tragic past, if you look closely at the side character that is actually younger Murata taking care of Giyu. Demon Slayer always so detailed with side characters as well. Like, this is not the first time Murata has appeared. We saw him in a couple scene in Mount Nadagumo arc, but would never guess he has some relations to Giyu at all. Detail number 23. This detail is quite wholesome. The storyline picks off after Tanjiro received a friendly fist bumped on the face by Sanemi. While he was laying down, you can see Gyu's Haori was underneath Tanjiro's head, which shows how much Gyu actually cares for Tanjiro, even if he's the nonchalant type. Even after being teleported to the Infinity Castle, Gyu was also calling out for Tanjiro as well. Detail number 24. Did you notice how Sanemi planted his sword in the ground and then abruptly sat down? The Wind Hashira isn't exactly worn out from a little run-in with minion demons. Actually, this specific detail shows how much Sanemi respected his sword in his role as a demon slayer. Detail number 25. In the scene where Kanao returns from doing a mission, if you look carefully, you'd notice something out of place here. Her sword is nowhere to be found, so she must have faced some formidable monsters. It is essential for a demon slayer to always have their weapon with them. Well, with the exception of Gyomei, who has massive weapons. Detail number 26. If you can notice this minor detail, you're a real one. You see, after Mr. Angry Bird gave Tanjiro a new sword, which is from the Yorichi Type 0, notice how the blade is already black, but if you look really closely at the lower part of the blade, it has a hint shade of blue plus Rengoku's fiery sword hilt, which fits Tanjiro's breathing techniques perfectly, sun and water. Detail number 27. In the first episode, the demons that kidnapped villagers sort of resemble the latest lower moons. After eliminating the lower ranks, Muzan must run out of ideas creating demons and just recycle the old ones. Detail number 28. Starting the scene where Sanemi and Obanai are chasing after the demons. We all know Sanemi is an absolute beast while fighting against demons, but if you look at his sword, it lies a small detail on there. On the sheath of his sword, there's a mark quite similar to the cross scar display on his chest. If you didn't notice that, then you might be able to notice the same pattern of the mark when he uses wind-breathing techniques. He likes to keep his chest area open to display all his healed-up wounds because he's proud of all his scars. Detail number 29. You might notice the shift in the air with Zenitsu's behavior after receiving a letter from Chuntaro. Spoiler alert, since there is only one person Zenitsu loves besides Nezuko is his teacher, so it is likely something happened to him. As it'll be revealed later on in the story, the message indicates that his teacher took his own life after his former apprentice became a demon. Detail number 30. For those who haven't noticed yet, the former apprentice, also known as Zenitsu's senior, Kaigaku, was an orphan at Gyomei's temple. In Season 1, they didn't show his face at all, only his lower face. However, in Hashira training arc, we finally learn that he is that hypocrite boy who demolished Gyomei's temple in order to save his own life. That's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to mention your favorite scene of Season 4 down in the comment section below.